Hi everyone, Salesforce Development Day 40. Now let's see the today's agenda. We'll quickly go to the previous session overview and we'll talk about yesterday we have discussed about the triggers. So we will continue the trigger, context variables and ways to create a trigger, and we'll see what are the different executions and trigger use cases and today's interview questions. Now yesterday we have started with trigger topic. We have discussed trigger events, trigger context variables, and yesterday we have discussed about the trigger.old and trigger.new. Trigger.old and trigger.new with the examples we have seen. Right, so today we will start with trigger.new map and trigger.old map. Now let's see the first definition of the trigger.new map and trigger.old map. Trigger.new map is basically it's a map function. In the map will have a ID and you can pass the S object data type. Right. So if you want to store the data or if you want to retrieve the information with the form of keys and values, then in that case, what we will do, we will use the either new map or if it is a new data, then you will use the new map. So basically this returns the map of IDs to the what are the new version of the record is there, that new version of the record. For that particular ID, we will get entire record. And this map is available for the before update, before update, after insert, after update, and after undelete. Trigger.new map is available for the before update, after insert, after update, and after delete. For this, we will be using the new map. For this, we will be using the new map. Now here, so trigger.new map is a context variable which contains the new context records in the form of map collection. Now, example, key is a record ID. This is the key and this is the value. So key is a record ID and value is the complete record. It will store the complete record. And trigger.new map will be available in the insert only for after insert and update. Update is for the before update and after update. Whereas insert only after insert, it will not be available on the before insert. So it won't be available on the delete operation also. Right? So it won't be available in the delete operation. Only it will be available in the after and delete. It will be only on the after and delete. Delete will not have. Because once the record is deleted, there won't be new record. Right? There won't be new version of the record. Now let's see the example of the trigger.new map. For trigger.new map, if you want to implement a program, then we will start with trigger. Let's say account trigger on account. Now let's say implement it for the before update. Before update. Now, this logic so trigger.new is only applicable for the after insert, before update, after undelete. Now what I'm going to do is first I'm going to implement a map of ID comma. Let's take account. Let's assume that this is the account map equal to new map of ID comma account. Now I'm initializing the map. Now here, whatever this account map is there, Now this account map, we will store the entire information, like whatever the trigger dot new map is there. Now in case in the trigger, if I wanted to get the latest information, how can we get it? Using the trigger dot new map. Trigger dot new map. Using the trigger dot new map, we will get it. Now I'm going to store this entire record inside this account map. That means account map equal to trigger dot new map. I can directly store the latest record inside the account map. Right. So for example, let's say that the scenario that I'm going to implement, I wanted to find out the contacts, get the contacts right. Let me say here, loop through the account. And get the contacts. Either you can loop through this account map or a trigger.new map and capture the account ID. You can capture the account ID. Or else what you can do is directly you can write a SOQL query to get contacts for account. That means if you want to get a account contacts for each account, you will be able to get it using the SOQL query. Either you can do the two ways. Either you can loop through this account map and get first get the account ID and store that account ID in one variable. Then you can get the information. Or else directly you can use the account map. Directly you can use the account map. Now this account map is having the ID and account. So what I'll do, I'll do the list of the contact list equal to, I'm going to query the select ID, comma, last name from contact, where I'm going to use the account ID, colon. Now we have the entire information sits into the account map. So I'll say account map dot key set. So in the map, if I want only the keys, then how can we get it? Using the key set, which we have already seen now. Key set, by using the key set, I can get the IDs of the account. Now, based on the account ID, I can get the contacts. Now, once I have the contact information, I can loop through the contact. I can loop through the contact. Yeah, you have to use the in here, either in or equal to. Right, so in colon account map. Now I'm going to look through the contact. For contact, let's say colon contact list. Now I'm going to get the information of each contact and update the contact information. Now, usually what we will do, con dot, whatever the mailing city is there, or con dot phone number. If you want to update the phone number, you can update the phone number or the email ID. Then finally, you can do the update form list. Update form list. So this is how we can use the trigger.new map. That will get all the latest information. For example, if you want to update in the account, we have a billing state, right? In account, we have a billing state. Let's go there. Now let's go to the account. Let me open one of the account here, Infosys. Now go to the detail section. Now we have a billing address and shipping address. Similarly, when we go to the contact, in the contact also, we have address information. Let me open this into the new tab. On this contact details. Now, here we have a mailing address. Now what I can do is sometimes the requirements is whenever the account is created or whenever the contact is created, when contact is created, the requirement says when contact is created, copy the account billing address to contact mailing address. Contact mailing address. So this is the requirement. Now in this case, what you will do, now you are querying the contact. Now you are looping through the contact, but you have to find out for this contact. Now there are 100 contacts are there. 100 contacts are there. Now each contact is linked to each account. Now you need to find out this contact is linked to which account. Now how do you get? Now here you will say that we have a account map, right? So in the contact, we have a con.account ID. Con.account ID. Con.account ID. And this account ID, try to get it from the account map. Now in the account map, get the ID of contact. Now account map has ID comma account. Now from this account map, now whatever I'm looping to in the contact, I have a account ID. Pass this contact account ID to the account map and store this information. Now I'm going to get the complete account information. Here I'm going to say con dot mailing city equal to ACC dot billing city. Right? So this is now for each contact, I'll get the account information. How can I get it the account information? In this account map, I'm storing the ID and related account. Complete record information. Now by passing the ID to this account map, I will be able to get the value of single account record. Get that single account record and then pass the billing city or a billing information to the contact. Now I can say update contact list. So finally it will update. So this is one of the use case like in the real time for the trigger.new map. Take a notes of it. So let's move on. The next one is trigger.old map. Right. So we have seen the trigger.old. Trigger.old is basically it will give you the list collection. Right. List of the S object data type trigger.old. Now trigger.old map is if you want in the format of map of ID comma value. That means ID comma S object data type. So if you want trigger.old map collection information, then you can use the trigger.old map. It contains the previous data. It contains the previous information, previous record information. Now let's say here key is nothing but a record ID. S object type is nothing but a complete record. Now if you want to store the complete account information in this trigger.old map, you can store the information. Now let's create it. Now let's see here. So trigger.old map is also, we can use this trigger.old map. It is available in update and delete. Now let's say here, it won't be available in the insert, before insert or before after insert. Now let's say I'm going to implement one scenario trigger. Let's say opportunity trigger on the opportunity. Right now, I'm going to pass the event. We are going to use the before event, before update. I'll declare a map of ID comma. I'll initialize this ID comma opportunity map equal to new map of ID comma opportunity. Now I'm going to store the old information to the OPP map equal to trigger dot old map. Now basically I wanted to cross verify the previous amount and latest amount. Whatever the record is updated, I wanted to check the previous amount and the latest amount. Now, in the old map, we'll have a ID comma opportunity will be there. Now, sometimes, can I use the trigger.old and trigger.old map together or a trigger.new trigger.old map together? You can use it. It's not decided that you have to use only the old map in the trigger. You can use all the combination together. Let's assume that I wanted to loop through the new record. Let's say here OPP colon new records as stays into the trigger.new. Now I need to find out for this one, what is the old data? I need to find out. So pass here OPP map dot get me the ID of this. That means pass the OPP ID dot ID. Now if you pass the information to this map, it is going to get entire opportunity. So you can say here opportunity old map, old opportunity. This is equal to, I'm going to get it from the map. Now I have a new record, I have an old record. This is the new record and this is the old record. Based on this new record ID, I'm getting the old opportunity. Now I can compare the information. How can I compare it? If my current, what are the new opportunity is there, dot amount is not equal to old opportunity dot amount. If it is not same, then I'm going to show an error. So here I'm going to show the error message. Error message is amount cannot be changed. Right, so this is how we are going to write the trigger.old map. Let's move on.
Ma'am, could you please repeat again? I mean, I'm not able to understand you.
Which one you have not able to understand?
The last one, update.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. So here the scenario is on the opportunity. Opportunity record is already created. It is in the system. opportunity record is already created. It is available in the database.com. Database.com. Now, today, one of the person is updating the opportunity record. Now, before the amount was, opportunity amount was, let's assume that 10,000. Usually, the amount on the opportunity cannot be changed frequently. Cannot be changed frequently. Like if it is almost in the stage of opportunity is almost, now let's go to the opportunity here. So opportunity and click on the detail section. Now we have it, different stages are there. Now, right now, it's almost in the approval status. Stage is approval status. Now, when the stage is approval status, now if somebody is changing opportunity, stage is approval status. And right now, somebody is modifying the amount. Where the opportunity is already approval status and amount right now changing is a not valid. If somebody change it, I wanted to show error message that you cannot change the amount frequently when the approval stage is approval. When the opportunity stage is approval, you cannot change the amount. Now that means I need to know what is the previous amount. I want to know what is the previous amount and what is the current amount, so that I can compare the previous and current amount. If both are not same, then I'm going to show the error message. Show error message. Now, how do I get the previous amount? Previous amount, I'll get it from the trigger.old map. Always use the old map, right? You can use the trigger.old, but trigger.old is the list of the list collection, right? So using the list collection, basically, how do I wanted to get? I have a ID. I will pass the ID. Based on the ID, give me the complete record. So this is the scenario. If this is the scenario, then you have to use the old map. So that will be stored. Previous amount, previous complete record will be stored into the old map. And whereas current information, whatever the current is there, you can use the trigger.new or a trigger.new map. Now, if you want a scenario that, okay, I need to pass the ID, based on that ID, I wanted to get the information, then use the new map. But if you think that I do not need a ID separately or a value separately, then go for a trigger.new. Because in this scenario, I'm using the trigger.new just for looping the current record. I do not need a separation of ID and a values. When you want to get the record based on the ID and store that record into the single opportunity record, then I can use the map. Now here what I have done, I have taken the before update and using this old map, I'm storing into everything into the map of ID. Now using this new record, I'm looping through the new record. Now user has updated the opportunity. Whenever the updated the opportunity, now before update, get me the latest record. Get me the latest record and also get me the what is the before changing the value, what is the old value? What was the old value? Now get me all those information. Now I'm comparing the new opportunity amount. So this is the amount, new opportunity amount with old opportunity amount. If it is not same, then show the error message.
Yeah, got it, ma'am. But instead of that trigger, we can go with the normal SOQL query, ma'am. I mean, why do we use trigger on this requirement? That is what I'm not understanding.
So yesterday we have discussed instead of writing a SOQL query. So in the real time, what we do is most of the times we will avoid to use the SOQL queries because SOQL queries limit is only 150. So in the real time, most of the times we do not use the SOQL queries are not used mostly. Like, is there any way that I can avoid the SOQL query to use this implemented logic? So when we are writing a trigger, most of the times we will not use a SOQL because trigger itself is providing me the Salesforce is already writing the SOQL query behind this. Now it's giving me that take this old information if you want a old data. If you want a new data, take this new data. So Salesforce is already doing that, and simply without the SOQL query, I can use the trigger.old to get the old data, trigger.new to get the new data. So it does not require much information. When you want to get the related information, like a related object, or if you want to get some different objects based on the current, based on the wherever you are writing the trigger based on this object ID. If you want to get other object information, then we will use the SOQL query. But if you are already implementing the trigger on the current object, and if you want to get the current object information, Salesforce is providing that use this old, new map and old map, not required of the SOQL query.
Ma'am, can you please take the scenarios which are not possible with validation rule or out of the box functionalities?
Yeah, I'll see. We will see that. Now, is this clear?
Clear, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's move on. So there are different ways of creation of record triggers, right? So there are two ways we can create it by using the standard navigation. That means setup by using the standard navigation or by using the developer console. If it is a standard navigation, you need to do the setup build, develop Apex trigger, or else in the setup directly search the Apex trigger. Now let's see this. Now go to the Salesforce. Setup. Search for a Apex trigger. Search for Apex trigger. By clicking on this, you will be able to go to the Apex trigger. In the Apex trigger, you will have a developer console. There won't be a new button. We do not have a new button. It directly has a developer console. That means when you click on this developer console, it will open your developer console window will get open. So this is exactly what we have writing the, it is going to show me the triggers. By default, it will land onto the triggers. And this is the existing triggers. Now, if you want to create a new trigger, you can create it. But from here, you cannot create a trigger. Now, whatever the triggers we are creating it says here account trigger, the one which we have created. And what is the S object type? On which object we have created, we have implemented the trigger. So that is the account. API version. What is the current API version? Now, current API version is 58. What is the status? Is the trigger is active or not? Right. So what is the size of the code? How much we have to, without comments, like 96, last modified this, has a trace flag in case if this has a trace flag or not. Right. So now let's go ahead. And the second one is by using the developer console. In the developer console, you can go to the file and new Apex trigger, enter the trigger name, the object name. When we click on this, yesterday we have created the name and S object. So here you need to provide the name and then it will give you the S object. Once you click on submit, there is a class gets created. And these are the API versions. In case if you want to change the API version, you can change it. But always be created using the latest version 58. Now, if you have an older version of the trigger, just update it to the 58. This is hardly we will do it every 3 years or every 4 years whenever the Salesforce says that if you are removing the API version 20. Now API version is going out of 20. Now in that case, we will upgrade the API version of that particular class from 20 to whatever the current version is there, we will update it. Now let's see the one of the use case. Now let's implement the trigger in the developer console. Create a trigger on the account object to make the account industry, facts, and website fields are required. And then we need to show the error message in case if user is missed to enter the value. Now, I need to cross verify the industry, facts, website field are required, right? So this can also be done using the validation rule, but how can I do it if I have to do it through the trigger? If I have to do it through the trigger, how can it be possible? Now let's understand the easiest one, then we will go for the complex. Now, here I'm going to write the business logic. Now let's say here, if I'm going to specify, now when is the logic has to be executed? Whenever to make sure account industry is entered correctly or not. So it is not mentioned whether it is a new record or an existing record. So I need to use the before insert, and then I need to use the before update. Before inserting the data within the system, I need to make sure that I need to cross verify whether the data is available in the industry, facts, website or not. Now, I can implement a trigger all together. Industry, facts, website, all together, I can implement it. That means here I have a three fields. Now, usually if you want to write a validation rule, what we will do the validation rule all together, and then on top of that, we will show the error message. But let's assume that if industry is null, only check the industry is null, show the error message for the industry. Show the error message for industry. If it is a facts is null, then show the error message for the facts. If it is a website, if the website is null, then show the error message. Show error message. Now, I want a different messages like this, right? So in case if I want, usually we go for three validations like that. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to implement in the trigger. Now, first I'm going to look through the account. Whatever the account is there, that account I'm going to look through each account. Now, for loop account ACC colon trigger.new, all the new records. Now, within this, I'm going to verify if ACC dot industry, if it is equal to null, or ACC dot industry equal to null. Right? If either this null or this null blank, then I wanted to show the error message. Now, whenever we wanted to show the error message using the trigger, then we use a add error. That means for this particular, on which object I am showing the error, take that particular variable or a instance name. Now, ACC dot, you need to use the add error. And let's say here, please select the industry. Please select industry value. Right? Same thing here, else condition. Else, keep the else if ACC dot facts. I'm going to use the facts. If it is equal to null, or if it is not, if it is equal to blank value, then we will say that please enter the facts. Similarly, we are going to use the website. Else ACC dot website, and here I'm going to use the website. If it is equal to null, then show the error message on the website. Now click on save. Now this trigger is active. Right now, if you go to the refresh and just open this Apex trigger. Here status is active. Now, if you deactivate it, what will happen? It will go into the inactive mode. Now, how can we deactivate? If you uncheck this status checkbox, it will be inactive. Whenever it is a inactive, your logic will not execute. Your logic will not execute. Trigger logic will not execute. Now, let's see here, go to the industry, whether it is a new record or an existing record. If I do not have a fax, or if I do not have a website, or if I do not have a industry. Let's take the new another record. Click on the details. Now fax is not available. So what I'll do, I'll change this. Click on this save. When I click on this save, it says this, please select the fax value. Please select the fax value. Now this is only, it is showing it from the trigger. Now, for example, if I deactivate the trigger, inactivate, that means is active, I'm changing back to the inactive. Right? Now I'll click on the save. Once I click on the save, now right now status is changed to the inactive. Status is changed to the inactive. If I go ahead and click on the save, now it is going to, it will not show any error. It will not show any error. So just make sure that in case if your trigger is not working, just cross verify the status is inactive or not. Now this kind of a activities only you can do in the developer sandboxes. You cannot do it in the production. Production, you cannot edit the trigger. Production, you cannot edit the trigger here. So you cannot click on this edit in the production, and you cannot make this checkbox as an inactive or an active. You cannot do it. Basically, you cannot edit any class. You cannot edit any class. Now, in that case, what we can do is, now here we can say here active. So in that case, we have a different, in the production, we will not be able to edit the class. Now there is a different way of deactivating the trigger. We will see that. But remember, production, we will not be able to deactivate the trigger. Only it is possible in the sandboxes. Only it is possible in the sandboxes. Now if I click on this edit, and click on this save, now it is going to show me the error message. So in Salesforce, we use the add error to show the error messages. We use the add error.
Ma'am, is it right? Is it a right? Right approach like to take the validation at trigger level?
Can you repeat your question?
Is it a right approach to take the validation and in a trigger level? I mean, instead of that, we can go with the server side, right?
Yeah, you can go with the server side. So that's what I'm saying. So this can be implemented using the validation rule. But how can we, if I have to implement using the trigger, how can we do it? So this is the simplest one where we can write it.
Yeah, I mean, there won't be any performance issues, right? I mean, if you approach this trigger level.
No, it won't be.
Okay, okay.
Ma'am, do we need to use that two null check that you have used? Only using one, will there be any issue?
What do you mean by one?
So for null check, you have checked two condition, equal to null and equal to blank string. What if I use only equal to null?
You can use it. Sometimes what happens is null might work for the tick list fields, but it might not work for the string fields. So string fields, you have to check this. Otherwise, you can use one more condition. We have a string dot is empty. So you have this is empty, is blank, is null. So you have these conditions also. So you can check is empty. Now inside this, you can pass the acc.industry. It's up to the developer how comfortable they are. So in Salesforce, to implement a small thing, there is multiple ways we can implement. So if it is not empty, then I'm going to go for this.
Okay.
Or if it is empty, then I'm going to show the error message. So either you can write it in the null, or you can write it this way, or you can write it string dot is empty, string dot is blank, string dot is null. Based on the data type of the field, you have to use that. Let's go for the homework. Write a trigger on the account. When account is inserted, automatically account billing address should be populated into the shipping account, shipping address. That means whatever the record while creating the account record. Now we are creating the account record. Whenever we are creating the account record, we have a two type of a address is there, billing address and shipping address. Whatever the data is entered in the billing address, same thing should be copied to the shipping address. That means before insert and before update. Before insert, before update is the event. So whether it is a before insert, before update, I just need to copy the information that is entered here, move to the shipping address. Now, how do you do it? Which one you will take it? Which context variable you will take it? Trigger on the account trigger on account. Now the events are before insert and before update. Here, which context variable you will take it, trigger.old or trigger.old map or trigger.new or trigger.new map? Which one you will take it? In order to loop through the record, you will take the trigger.new. So you will take the trigger.new. Then you are going to simply take the ACC dot whatever the shipping, let's say for example, shipping city equal to dot billing city. Simple, straightforward. So whatever the billing city is entered, same thing you will copy it to the shipping city. Similarly, billing address you will copy from the like a zip code, postal, street, everything you will copy to the shipping details. And finally, you will write the update. So that's about the first homework. And the next one is when account update collect all the opportunity amounts, update this amount on the account level field. Right, so this cannot be possible using the validation rule. Right, I have an account, inside the account, get me all the opportunity. For example, account has 4 opportunities. 4 opportunities. Now you need to calculate all the 4 opportunities amount. You need to calculate all the 4 opportunity amount. After calculating all the 4 opportunity on the account level, create a new field on the account, which is called total opportunity amount. Create a new field on the opportunity after calculating this. That means sum of all the 4 opportunity amount. Store that value into the total opportunity amount on the account. Second assignment. Third one, write a trigger when opportunity stage is changed and send an email to the account owner. You need to send an email to the account owner. Now, how to send an email? We have already seen in the batch class. In the batch class, we have written the email to send it, right? So from the finish method, we have sent an email. Similarly, in the trigger also, whenever the opportunity stage is changed, whenever the opportunity stage is changed means only we will use after insert, after update. Event is after insert, after update. That means emails always sends after the data is inserted successfully into the database.com, then only we will send the notification. Now here, after insert, after update, now you need to implement a email. Logic has to be implemented in the code. So implement the logic and send an email saying that your opportunity stage has been changed. What are the current opportunity stage and what are the previous opportunity stages there? So you need to say that from the previous to the current one, it has been changed. So subject is account update information. You can say this, your account info, the opportunity information is updated successfully, and you can specify the what is the previous stage and what is the current stage. And fourth one is write a trigger on the contact to prevent the duplicate records based on the contact email and contact phone. So that means whenever the new record is created, whenever the new record is created, you need to check old records, whatever the records are there with the contact. Check all the old records. Is any old records, any of the existing record, does it match with new record email and phone number? If it is matched with any of the existing record, just display the error message saying that it's a duplicate record. The record is already available in the system. So take a notes of it. What do you mean by synchronize the record? How do you synchronize? What do you mean by synchronize? So are you asking, can we use the same value with the records? Can you rephrase your question again? In the meantime, now let's say here, for example, right now the error message is showing on the top level. For example, you wanted to show this error message on the field level. So you have to use that ACC dot, whatever the field is there, just specify the field here. So just specify the field so that what will happen, it will show the error message only on the website. Sorry. Let's keep it for the facts. Right now it has a facts. ACC dot facts dot add error. So add the error only on the facts. Edit, there is the facts. Now this is the opportunity. Let's go to the account. Now click on OK. Now it is going to show here. Please select the facts value. Right, let's see another use case. Create a trigger on the lead object to auto-populate the annual revenue based on the industry name as below. That means whenever we have a industry name is banking, then populate the 90 lakhs or finance, then 76 lakhs. This population automatically should happen on the lead object. So these are the certain conditions. Now let's implement this. This is on the lead trigger. On the lead trigger, I need to populate the annual revenue based on the industry. Industry is in the, do we have an industry on the lead? Let's click on the detail section. Have an industry field. So based on this industry field, I'm going to populate the annual revenue. Let's go ahead and implement. Now, the logic which we are going to implement to update the annual revenue based on the industry field. Now, this has to be executed on the before insert and before update. So file, new, Apex trigger. Now here I'm going to say that this is a lead trigger. As object is lead. You cannot enter here. If you enter, it will not take. So you need to scroll down and search for it. On submit. So trigger name on the lead before insert comma before update. For update. Now if trigger dot is before and as well as the if it is a is insert and a same logic I'm going to use it. Now I'll just write the trigger context is before. Now either you can write a is before and within this you can write a insert and update, or else in the same line you can write a before as well as the insert update, because for same logic we are going to execute it for the insert and update. In that case, and trigger dot is insert or trigger dot is update. That means I'm going to execute the below logic for the before insert or before update. Whether it is an insert or update, but the before I'm going to execute this logic. The logic I'm going to execute is for loop lead LD equal to I want to get the new records trigger dot new. Trigger dot new. Now here, instead of writing a if else condition, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the switch condition. So I'll use the switch on. I'm going to use the switch on LD dot industry. LD dot industry. Now here I'm going to specify when it is a banking. Then I need to update the LD amount. LD dot amount, that is annual revenue. Now let's say I'm just giving the numbers. $90 lakhs. If it is a banking, if it is a 90 lakhs. No. Similarly, when it is a finance, then I'm going to update the finance. If it is a insurance, then I'm going to update it. Now let's take this finance. Let's give some number 7, and this is a finance. So like this, you can write for the multiple conditions. Multiple conditions, you can write it. So I'll write one more. Let's say education. save. Now what is this? Switch on.
Ma'am, we have finance 2 times.
So this is the insurance. So right now you can see there are two triggers. Go to the apex trigger. You will be able to see the two triggers. One is account trigger and the second one is lead trigger. This is on the lead object active, and this is the person who has implemented. Now let's go to the lead. In the lead, based on the right now here it is a some 80 lakhs it is there. Now I'm going to update this to the, let's say, education. I'm going to update education. Education and click on the save. So it is 95 lakhs, it is updated. Right, so let's assume that now we have a validation rule that is implemented on the lead. Let's check what are the validation rules that we have. Setup and edit object. Let's go to the validation rule. Now let's say that I'm going to implement one validation rule. Say annual revenue. Annual revenue check. Validate the annual revenue. Validate annual revenue. Null. Then I'm going to throw an error message. Is null of the annual revenue. Insert annual revenue. Click on the insert. Now I'm going to say please enter. Show it on the field. Click on annual revenue. Click on the save. Now what I'll do is I have a validation rule as well as the trigger, both we have it. Now I'll just go to the one of the lead record. I'll remove it. Now we have a trigger on the annual revenue, trigger on the validation. Trigger that we have implemented on the before update, before insert and the before update. Now I have not entered the annual revenue. Now, is my validation rule is going to fire before the trigger execution, or will it not be firing it? That means I have two things. We have two validations are there on the same page. We have a validation rule where the validation rule, it says that whenever the value is null, error message. Same time we have a trigger which we have implemented on the before insert and before update. Out of this, which one gets executed first? Now, before the trigger execution, is my validation rule gets executed and show the error message here. Ideally, if the validation rule executes before the trigger, then it should show the error message. In case if the validation rule executes after the trigger, then it should not show the error message. Now, which one it will work? Before the trigger or after the trigger? Now let's click on save here. It is validation rules are always executed after trigger, before insert, and before update. If I deactivate it, or if I say here, I have, let's say I'm going to deactivate this trigger, click on this lead trigger. I'm going to deactivate it, quick save. Now I'll go back to the lead. Now let's say I'm going to remove this. Now it is going to show me the validation rule. Annual revenue is mandatory. If I say here trigger, now instead of a before insert or a before update, I'll say here after insert, after update. After update, click on the save. Now I'm going to activate the trigger. Refresh. On edit, now it is active. The trigger is active. Now I have a after insert and after update. Now I'm going to execute I'm not entering any annual revenue right now. Now is my validation execute? So before, after, insert, or after update, or else if it is a after running the trigger, will it be executing the validation rule? Click on save. Now which one it got executed? Validation rule. So remember this validation rule. If you have a multiple logic or multiple implementation on a single objects, if you have a multiple implementation, then especially for the validation rule trigger. Now, if you have a already validation rule on that particular field, now based on your logic, when you want to execute the logic, do you want to execute the logic before executing the validation rule or after executing the validation rule? Now you need to check. If you want to execute it before, then you have to always use the before insert and before update. Before update. Then after this, your validation rule gets executed. After this, your validation rule gets executed. Then after that, trigger, and after insert, and after update. After insert, after update. Right, so this is the sequence for the validation rule. Now we will see the order of the execution later, but right now we are just checking the scenario for the validation rule and trigger. Right, from the developer console, you cannot deactivate it. Now there is a different way for doing the deactivation. Even we should not be doing it from the here. Right, there is a different way of deactivation. We will see that part. Upon firing the trigger, if the record contains the validation rule and before trigger on the same field, then it will fire the before trigger first, then it will fire the validation rule. After that, after trigger is going to fire it. Now let's see the another use case. Create a trigger on the account object to prevent the deletion of the active account records. That means I have a account records, right? So in the account record, we have a checkbox. There is a active field is there. Now let's go to the account. Start the changes. Now let's say that this is the account record. In this account record, now we have a account record, and in the account record, there is a field called active pick list. Whenever the active pick list is yes, then we should not allow them to delete this record. We should not allow them to delete this record. Now, how can we check? Now, if it is a previously old value and now I'm changing to the no, also it should not take it. Whether the old one or whether the new one, whatever is there, right? It should not be deleting. As soon as I click on here, delete record, it should check what is the current active pick list field. If it is a yes, then do not allow to delete. On the clicking of the delete button, it should prevent it. Now, we have already implemented a trigger on the account. I already have a trigger on the account. Now, right now, we have received another scenario. No, if I have received another scenario, can I implement a new Apex trigger for another scenario on the account object? You can do that, but that's not a good practice. Do not create multiple triggers on the single object in the same trigger. Now, whenever it is a delete operation is happening, that time you wanted to execute it, right? Whenever the delete operation is happening. Now that means here I'll say on the event before delete. Before deleting, throw an error. Now, whatever this logic is there, this logic has to be executed only on the insert and update for the previous logic. If now I'm going to write a context variable trigger dot is before and whether it is a trigger dot is insert or trigger dot is update. Either of these condition execute the logic of for loop. Right, so it is going to execute. Now the next one is I want the before delete. So if trigger dot is before and trigger dot is delete, then I am going to implement a logic for preventing the records to delete. Whatever the active equal to yes, those records should not be allowed to delete. Now I'm going to loop through the records account. Now let's take a ACC colon. Now, whenever we are deleting the record, always I should check the old record. Because whenever we are deleting it, new record is nothing but already deleted record is a new record. So for this, we have to always check trigger dot old. And then I'm going to say here if ACC dot active equal to yes. I'm going to show an error message. Error message is ACC dot add error. You are not authorized to delete the active account. Click on save. Dot is delete. Now click on this save. Let's go ahead and check this. Now I have a yes and click on the save. Account facts is mandatory. Let's enter some value here. Click on the save. Now record right now. I'll click on the delete button. When I click on the delete button, are you sure you want to delete the record? Yes, I wanted to delete the record. Now it is saying that you are not authorized to delete the active account. This error message from where it is coming from the trigger, whatever we have implemented, from there it is coming the error message. Now if I change this value to the no, if I change active to no, then it will allow us to delete the record. Let's change the active flag to no. and click on the delete button. Yes, I wanted to delete it. Now it will delete the record. Taken is deleted. Taken is deleted. So this is how we will try to prevent the records to delete it. Now here you can check in multiple conditions. Multiple conditions you can check. Take the homework. Create a trigger on the position object to make sure that minimum pay field on the contact number field is required. Minimum pay and the contact number field is required on the position object. Position object, contact number and minimum pay field should be mandatory. Create a trigger on the lead object. Sure, the lead address should be mandatory. Whenever the lead is created, address has to be mandatory, like a street, state, city, postal code, country. In the address, we have a different fields, we have it. All the fields has to be entered in the address. If one of the field is not entered, for example, postal code is not entered. Everything is entered, but postal code is did not enter. Then in that case, throw an error message saying that postal code is not entered in the lead address. Create a trigger on the case object to make sure that each case record should be associated with the account and contact. That means whenever we are creating the case, let's go to the here and let's say that I click on this cases, and click on this new button. Whenever we are creating the new record, it is only for the new records. Whenever we are creating a new record, we have to make sure that contact and account name should be entered. That means you need to make it mandatory. Now, without entering the contact and account name, if you click on a save button, it should throw an error message. So this is another way of making the field mandatory from the trigger. Now the next one is create a trigger on the contact object to make sure that each contact record should be associated with the account. That means whenever you are creating the contact, account field has to be a linked. Now if you have not entered the account, then you cannot allow user to create a record in the contact. Take a notes of this homework. Let's move on the another use case. Create a trigger on the custom object hiring manager to maintain the uniqueness of the record based on the hiring manager name and contact number combination. That means whenever we are creating the hiring manager record based on the hiring manager name and the contact number. So when you are creating the duplicate records, right? So you need to verify that this record is already exist in the table. You cannot create a new record, or we cannot accept this record. Here we need to implement a logic. We need to implement a logic for event is before insert and before update. Before update. Now, what is the condition I need to check? I can check what is the old value. If the contact number is already there, right? If the contact number is already there, if the name is already there, then what I have to do? I need to check the old data and I need to compare with new data in the logic. Now let's go ahead and implement this. File, new, Apex trigger. Now I'm going to implement a trigger on the custom object, which is a hiring manager trigger. And then we have to search for a hiring manager custom object. Hiring manager, click on a submit. Now we have a hiring manager on the hiring manager before insert, comma, before update, before update. I'm going to check here if trigger dot, what are the trigger dot? If it is a before, and the logic I'm going to execute it for the insert as well as the update. If it is a before, trigger dot insert, or trigger dot is update. If it is a trigger dot is update, now I wanted to write a logic. Now I'll say here map of ID comma hiring manager. Let's say that this is the old hiring manager equal to new map of ID comma hiring manager. Now I'm going to store the data here. Now I'll say here old HM equal to trigger dot old map. Trigger dot old map. Now I'm going to loop through the for loop hiring manager new HM colon. I'll say here trigger dot new. Trigger dot new. Now for this record, I'm going to get the old record and store it into the single one. Say here, this is the HM. Here I'll use the old HM equal to, now whatever this HM is there, HM dot get, I'm going to pass new HM dot ID. Based on this ID, it will get the hiring manager record, then I'm storing the information. Now if old HM dot, what are we looking at? Name. Name is equal to, now here we are getting the all the existing records we need to identify. Right, we are not, this is only works, this way is only works for the before update. Before update, this only works. Now what I'll do is I'll separate this for the before update, because for the insert, there is no old record. For insert, there is no old record. Only for the update, we'll have an old record. So what I can do is I'll remove this is insert. So if it is an old update, now the existing one, I'm updating it. Existing one, I'm updating it. In that case, I'll have a old information stored into the database, I can get the information. And for this record, if the name is already there in the system, if it is already there, that means if I wanted to compare the existing record and the new record, then I can say here. Now what will happen if I am changing the same name? Now if I write this, assume that my hiring manager name is currently some Akash is there, right? Again, I'm updating the new name is also Akash. Or else I'm changing the value. I'm changing the value to something else. I'm changing the value to Sushma. If I change the value, if it is both are not same, right? I can say here, you cannot allow to change the record because the name is before Akash, now it is a Sushma. But what is the requirement? It says here, requirement says that check all the existing records. If you are creating any new record, any new record, your new record has to cross verify with all the existing records and identify if there are any existing records has the hiring manager name or a contact number. So in that case, old map does not work. Old map only works if you want to compare the same record with a different value. But in this case, it's not a same record. It's not a same record. I need to check all the existing records. If I want to check all the existing records, old map does not work. In this case, what we will do, we have to go for a different ways of implementation. Right, so I do not want to compare with ID to ID. So let's change this logic. Now here, I want to check all the existing logic. Now in that case, I'll directly look through the trigger hiring manager record. Whatever the hiring manager is available, take the hiring manager and then HR record colon trigger.new. Now I need to get the information. That means I need to get the records. Usually we should not write the SOQL query inside the for loop. Now in this case, I need to do the SOQL query because I need to check all the existing records. Old map, new map does not help. Old map, new map is based on the ID, I can get the specific value, specific record. Based on the ID, I can get the specific record. But in this scenario, I have to check entire system, right? All the records inside the object. In that case, I need to go for a SOQL. In that case, I need to go for a SOQL. Usually, we should not write the SOQL inside the for loop. But assume that you want to check, you wanted to get the values. If you do not want to write the SOQL query inside the for loop, now in that case, you need to store all your name, whatever the current record name is there, that current record name, you have to store it into the one set of the string. First show me while writing the SOQL query, then we can change that. Now integer, now I'm going to get the HR count. If I have a HR count, that means I'm going to get the count of the records. What is the count of records? Select ID, comma, select count, hiring manager, where name is equal to colon, whatever this HR record is there, HR record dot name, and I'm going to check the contact number. Contact number is equal to colon HR record dot contact number. Contact number. Here I'm going to get the count. Right? I'm not querying the complete reports. Right? I'm just getting the count. It's a single query. It's a single query. I'm just getting the information.
Ma'am, but that single query can execute multiple times. I mean, how many records will be there into trigger.new?
Right, that's true. No, so that's true. Now I'm seeing the what is the error there. Integer HR count, select count. from the hiring manager where name equal to HR record.
After and space, we have to give it in the query.
After and space. Let's see if this works. That is right. Now here, what will happen? Now I'm going to check here if HR count is greater than 0. Then I'm going to say that, okay, this record is already there. HR record dot add error. Add error, I'll say that this name is already exist in the database table. Right? Now, this is simple way of writing it. But as per the standard government rules or as per the standard coding, we should not write the SOQL query inside it. Now you still think that, okay, I have a count, I just written the count. Now this count does not help, it will just execute only one time. Right? So, but only one time per transaction. It will be only one time per transaction. That means first time it will execute it. First time it will again. Now I'm creating the one record. Now when I'm creating the one record, it will execute one time. That means per transaction it will execute it. Let's assume that in the per transaction I have a more than one record. Per transaction can have a one record or more than one record because trigger.new contains the list collection. Trigger.new contains the list collection. When we have a list collection, that time if I have a, for example, in the trigger.new, it stores the 10 records. That means it is going to execute the 10 times. Now, most of the members will write it. Now it might think that, okay, it is going to execute only one time because this is the easiest way of implementation. You need not to write much logic there. So that's the reason they think that maybe it is just one time it is executing it. So we can write it directly into the for loop. But when you are doing the data loader, or possible that some third-party system or a website, they are loading some hundreds of records inside the Salesforce. In that time, what will happen? Ultimately, this will cross the limits, right? This is how in the production, now initially in developer edition, we will not see any error that your SOQL query is limit is exceeded. But all of a sudden in the production, after 3 months or after 4 months, we will see suddenly the SOQL query is exceeding the limitation. Now developers will usually say that, okay, this was working fine before, there was no change, nothing was done, and how it is happened all of a sudden. The reason is the load of the data is more. When we have a load of the data more, then we will see the error. It is the easiest way, smallest way, but it will cause a problem going further. Now, instead of writing like this, this is it will work right now. But when you have a data loader or a going further, when you have you don't know at a time, maybe possible that 100 customers might be interested on this, right? So 100 customers might get this. So suddenly you will see in the production, till 2 months, everything was working fine. But all of a sudden after 2 months, it is error because the limitations are crossed. Now that limitations, whether it is a developer addition, whether it is a 2 months back, if this kind of a scenario happens, then you will see the error. So longer term, this is not a good practice. Now, in case if you want to go for it, it will be a more lines of code, but it is a best for the longer term. In that case, what we can do is store all your data into the set. That means whatever the contact number or a contact name is there. Now, contact number is a string or a integer. Let's check that. In the hiring manager, let's open one of the record. Name is anyway text, it is a string, but what about the contact? Contact is, does it accept the, yes, it is accepting the text. That means it is a string. Now I can store this information. Set of string. This is the hiring manager name. Let's say HM name equal to new set of string. New set of string. No, another one set of string. Now we are going to say here HM contact number. HM contact equal to new set of string. New set of string. Here we are going to say this. Now I'm going to look through the each hiring manager record. Each hiring manager record, and finally I'll store the all the records inside the this dot add. Now I'm going to add the HR record dot name. Now similarly, HM contact dot add. I'm going to store the HR record dot contact name. Now let's save this. Once you are done with collecting the information, now outside of the for loop, now declare the integer HR count equal to, I'm going to use the same query. I'm writing it in outside of the for loop. Now here I'll say that instead of that, now I'm going to specify the HM name, and instead of equal, let's write the in, and I'll say that HM contact. HM contact. Now click on save. Now, if I wanted to add an error message, can I add an error message here? Now, if I say error message HR record dot add error, and I'm going to say this, click on save. What is happening here? HR record is not available. Now, where do I write a add error? I cannot write the add error. Now, what I have to do, I need to again query I need to loop through the records. Now, again, I need to loop through the object. That means whatever this object, hiring manager record object is there, I need to loop through this object again. Now, right now, what we have done, we have stored the hiring manager name and the contact in separate string. Separate string, I have stored it. Now, I need to loop through this. Now, if I'm looping through this, the same records I need to loop it. The same records I need to loop it. Now, what I need to do, instead of looping to the trigger.new, now what I'll do is I'll store it into the one map. Map of ID, hiring manager, HR map, new map of and either you can store it into the map. There is another way of implementation also. Now here I'm going to add it into the HR map dot put. And let's say here I'm going to say ID, HR record ID dot ID, comma, HR record. Either you can do this or else what you can do is map of string, comma, string. String, comma, string. Now here this is a HM name and contact. I'm storing the name and contact in single map. String, comma, string. Right? In this case, what I'll do, I'll take this and I'll use HM name and contact dot put and I'm going to use the HR record name in the first key value, and then I'm going to specify the HR record contact number. HR record contact number. Now here I'm going to say that now I'm going to say here name in what are the HR contact dot key set. Key set, and here you can say that HRM dot values. Right now, I can loop through this. I can loop through the for loop. Again, I can loop through the trigger dot new. In the trigger dot new, I'm going to specify that if this dot contains key, if HR record dot name, if it is contained in the map. If it is contained in the map, it already contained in the map, and I'm going to specify if HR record, HR count is greater than 0. Now I'm going to say, show me this error. Show me the error. Right, so what I have done, you can do it in multiple ways. Either you can separately store the map, hiring manager map, or else you can store the whatever the string and record name, whatever is there, you can store it into the, instead of storing into the separate set, you can store it into the map. In the map string comma string, I'm storing the map of name comma contact number. Map of name comma contact number. Now you might ask that if I have a name, same names are available. Same names are available. In that case, what I can do? You take it here, set of string. It's all depending on how your requirement is. Take this set of string. That means only single account, single name can contain the multiple values. Now, what is that means? Let's take an example here. Your name and the contact number. Contact number. Right? So name is some Akash is there. Akash is there and some contact number is there. Now similarly, I might be having a same name, but I'll have a different contact number, some different contact number. In this case, how can I get it? You have to store this set of string. In the set of string, what needs to happen here? In the set of string, that means Akash is the single person. In that, we will have a 2 records. This is 1 record, comma, this is another record. This is list of the records. So that means set of string, comma, list of string. Right? So for this one, you have a 2 contact numbers. You have a 2 contact numbers. This you will be store it inside the map. Map of set of string and the list of string. We can do this. That means with a single name Akash, there are 2 records are there, but the different contact number. Now, if you want to store all the records with a different name, you can store it. Now here I'm saying the set of string because it's always key is always unique. Key is always unique, but values can be a list. Values can be a list. Now you get this information and store it into the map. And when you are passing to the SQL query, right? So that time what you need to do, you need to separate out again. You need to separate this. Right now you have a map of set of string and list of string. Now when you take a map of key set, what will happen? Set of strings it will take it. Set of strings which will not be valid. You need to pass the values, right? Then you need to separate this. So that means what you need to do here, well, let's say here this is a map list equal to new map of this. Now you store all the information here. Now, when you're doing the SOQL query, what you need to do, you need to separate that set of string HM name equal to whatever this map list is there, map list dot key set. And similarly, list of the string. List of the string HM. Now let's say this is contact. HM contact equal to map list dot values. Store this into this. Now, right now integer, get the HR count equal to select count of from hiring manager. Underscore C, where now name in. Now you need to provide this HM name and for the contact number. In colon this HM contact you need to provide it. Right, so now you can check HR effect and then you can show the error message. Right, so whichever the way you want, you can implement it, but just make sure that whatever the limits are with the Salesforce, the limit should not be crossed. The limit should not be crossed. Now let's go ahead and check this. Now we have a before insert, before update string. We are storing into the map and I'm storing here. Now let's go to the hiring manager. Now click on this clone. If you want to debug the trigger, how can we debug the trigger? Now let's see that. So this name is already exist in the database table. From where it is coming? It is coming from the developer console, the logic that we have implemented. This name is already exist in the database table. Right? Now, in case if you wanted to debug, now, for example, you are not getting the output. In case if you are not getting the output, now you wanted to see what is the HM name and contact. What is the output I'm getting it? So you can write here system dot debug, and let's say this is the HM contact. Thus, now you need to keep on adding the debug logs. So when you add the debug logs, as soon as you see in, like for example, your expected value is not working, expected scenario is not working here. When the expected scenario is not working, just put a debug where you wanted to understand what is the value, what is the output of the value that is coming up. Now just put a debug log and click on this record and you will be see the HM contact next DMN equal to, that is the value. Many lines we have implemented, maybe 10 lines we have implemented. So whereas if you go with other, it's like a 3 lines also. So mostly the developer will go with this, but do not go with this because in the longer term, it will be a problem. Always in the trigger, store your output into the collection. Could be a set, could be a list, could be a map. It is the best way to store your output or whatever you are doing in the for loop, store it into the collection. And that can be used later. Create a trigger to prevent the deletion of the record contact upon removing the account record from the object. Now, usually, what will happen if I'm deleting the account record? Now, let's go to the account. My account. Now, if I open any account, let's see this newest account, Do I have a contacts? No, I don't have a contact. Let me create a new contact. Creating the one contact here. Now, usually what happens whenever we delete an account, I'm deleting the account. Now, is my contact will be deleted or will it be there? Now, I have a contact which is linked to the account. Now, if I delete an account, what will happen to the contact record? Or not? We have already seen that in the previously. If I click on the delete, immediately my account record will be deleted as well as the, if I refresh this contact, it says there is a problem. Both will be deleted, right? So front, it says that lookup relationship, but at the back end, it behaves as a master detail relationship. Whenever the account is deleted, contact is deleted automatically. Now, in case if you want to prevent deleting the contact record, prevent deleting the contact record whenever we remove the account. Whenever we remove the account, then we do not want to delete the contact. Now, how can we do that using the trigger? Now, in the trigger, you just need to use the, and let's go ahead and implement this. Where should I need to write the logic? Do I need to write the logic on the contact or do I need to write the logic on the account? Whenever the account is deleted, I wanted to prevent the contact to be deleted. Where should I need to write the trigger, account or contact? Why we should be writing on the contact? Now, where is the event is happening? Event is happening on the account or event is happening on the contact? What is my scenario here? Scenario is, if I delete an account, it should prevent deleting the contact. Now, first, which one will get deleted and where is the activities are happening on the activities are happening on the account or contact? Activities are happening on the account. That means events are happening on the account. So wherever the events or wherever the activities are happening, there only we have to write the trigger. There only we have to write the trigger. So we need to write a trigger on the account. Let's go here. New. We need to write the trigger on the account. So account trigger is already there. Account trigger is already there and we have it before delete is already implemented. Before delete is already implemented. Now, whenever we are deleting it, now I wanted to check the contact, right? The first criteria is it should not be active. If it is active is yes, you are not authorized to delete it. Assume that I'm deleting the wherever the active equal to no. So those records I'm deleting it. And that records have a contacts are linked to it. Contacts are linked to it. In that case, what we will do is I'll say here for loop. Right. So I need to first get the contact list. How many contacts do I have for this account? I need to get contact list for this account. Either you can do the for loop and get all the account IDs and then pass that account IDs to the socle, right? Or else you can do the other way also. Anyway, we have to do the socle because I need to get the contact list. We are in the account trigger and I'm trying to get the different object information. So what I'll do is list of contact list equal to select ID, comma account ID from, let's say contact where account ID. I'm going to directly pass, instead of again doing the for loop, what I'm doing is I'm directly passing the IDs from the trigger dot old map. From the old map dot key set. I'm directly passing it from the old map key set because we are deleting the record. Whenever we are deleting the record, we have to always use the trigger dot old. From this trigger dot old map, I will get all the key set, whatever the account IDs are there, all the account IDs, I will pass it to the account ID and get the contacts list. Get the contact list. Now this contact list, we will look through this. Now first I'll check, do I have a really there is a related contacts are there or not? Because it is possible that few accounts does not have a contact list. Now whenever the contact list is not empty, whenever the contact list is not empty, then I wanted to look through the contact for contact list. Now, how can I prevent the record to be deleted? Whenever the account is deleted, I wanted to prevent the contact to delete it. That means I should not allow the contact to be deleted. In that case, simple way is before deleting the contact, what should I do before deleting the account? Now, first I'll check what are the different contacts do we have it. Let me take another account. Assume that this is the account and we have a contact here. I'm creating the contact. Contact here, and this contact is linked to account. Now, whenever I'm deleting the account, first I'll need to query the contact, which we have already done. Now, next what I need to do, as soon as I click on a delete, the first thing what should I need to do is I need to remove the link between the account and contact. I need to remove the link between the account and contact. That means whatever the lookup field is there, the reference field is there, that reference field should be blank. This reference field, whatever the account ID, reference ID is there, the reference ID, I should make it as a null. Now here we have a account name is Pradeep Kumar. This ID should be blank. Now how do I do that? Look through the contact. I'll say here simply con dot account ID equal to null. And we are updating the contact. So I need to write a update here. Update contact list. Contact list. Update the contact list. Click on save. Done. Now let's go ahead and check this account details. The first criteria is active should be no. Now I'll click on the delete. Now this account has a contact is linked. Right, David is there. Now David is linked to the Pradeep Kumar. Now I'm deleting the Pradeep Kumar account. Click on the delete button. When I click on the Pradeep Kumar account, delete, it will delete the account, but it will not delete the contact. Only the thing is that the referral will change. Referral will be null. Now we have a account name is blank, Mr. David. It's a scenario. Take another homework. Create a trigger on the hiring manager object to remove all the related positions upon removing the hiring manager record from the object. So ideally from the hiring manager to position, it is a lookup relationship. When you delete the hiring manager, position records are not deleted. And what you have to do is, when you are deleting the hiring manager, you should delete all the position related position records. What are the related position records are there? Those needs to be deleted. So hiring manager is the parent and you will have a position record. Position record is a child. Now write a trigger on the account. When an account is inserted, automatically account billing address should be populated to the account shipping address. That means you need to populate the account billing details to the shipping address details. Now the third one is once an account is inserted. Once an account is inserted, then you need to send an email to the system admin users with a specified text like an account has been created and the name is, you need to specify the account name. You need to specify the account name. And the fourth one is once the account is updated, then once the account is updated. Now in the account, I think this is already be covered. Whatever the total opportunity amount on the opportunity is there, like each opportunity, get the amount filled, submit and update it onto the total amount. So these are the homework.
Ma'am, in homework 1, it should be the parent and child relation should be in the lookup, not in master. So if it is master, we have to change it to the lookup relationship.
Yes.
Okay.
Because if it is a master, automatically the
Yeah,
related
that's
will be deleted.
yeah, sure. Thank you.
Count only hold the count, one count or two counts. Let's say here, for example, in the developer console. In the developer console, query editor. Now let's say here, select count from, I'm going to say hiring manager __ C, executed. And it will just give me the count. 24 is the count. So let's see, do I have a 24 records in the hiring manager? Click on all. We have a 24 records. It will just give the count. So
Ma'am,
that's all today. We'll continue tomorrow.